Disclaimer before I get started, I am not responsible for whatever you may do to hurt yourself in a chemistry lab after watching this video, whether accidental or accidentally on purpose. You there, in the back, I can see your brain working out little loopholes. Just don't. Welcome to Ultra Basic but Kinda Important Lab Safety 10101010110. I'll be going over some fantastic guidelines on not getting yourself killed or sent to the ER faster than you can say single-celled organisms while working in a lab. Now, over the course of your chemistry class, you're probably going to hear these safety guidelines a lot. That's because they're kind of important. So grab your popcorn and take a seat, and let's get this thing rolling. First off, always read any instructions you are given very carefully and make sure you understand them before you move on to the experiment. It's kind of important if you want to avoid explosions and whatnot. If you have long hair, it's a good idea to tie it back so you don't knock things over or set your hair on fire, or possibly drag it through chemical substances you may be working with. It can happen a lot easier than you would think. Try not to wear droopy clothing either for the same reasons. Also, don't wear flip-flops or thongs. They're not the best shoes to be wearing if you happen to be around glass or spill a dangerous substance on yourself. Because as everybody knows, when you wear flip-flops, you expose your toes and the rest of your feet. And if you spill things, it's not gonna be fun. If you happen to be working with dangerous substances, wear the proper protection. You don't wear lab coats, gloves, and safety goggles just to look cool, people. If you do get a harmful chemical on yourself, make sure you take the proper measures to take care of it immediately. The iron stations and safety showers are there for a reason. Be sure to report any lab-related injury to whoever is in charge at the time so they can get you extra help if you need it. Handle your lab equipment carefully. If you accidentally drop a beaker or an Erlenmeyer flask, don't go stepping on the broken glass or sweeping it up with your hands. Use a broom and a dustpan so you don't embed pieces of glass in your flesh. Speaking of flesh, another thing you really don't want your flesh to come into contact with is heat. Don't stick your fingers into the flame the Bunsen burner or subsequent heat source creates. Also, if you're using a Bunsen burner, there will probably be a stand with a plate on top. You put this plate on top so that you can set your glass flask on top of it so that the glass doesn't fall apart upon contact with the heat. Don't put your hand on the plate either, unless you want to literally roast yourself. Don't eat or drink any substance within the lab or experiments unless you're told it is safe to do so. Yes, it's tempting to try to turn yourself into a Godzilla monster or drink that fizzy red substance in your beaker because it looks like soda. But don't. It's bad. Some substances that you work with in chemistry labs you may not be able to dispose of regularly or wash down the drain. Make sure that you dispose of these properly. If you're not sure how to do that, make sure you ask your instructor. Avoid directly inhaling things when trying to smell them. Instead, waft from the container to your nose by holding up the container and gently fanning your hand over the opening towards yourself. Some things are potentially dangerous if you inhale them directly. We don't want the Grim Reaper creeping around the back of the lab. Thank you very much, Mr. Reaper. You can leave now. Just make sure you follow your common sense and any safety guidelines your instructor has given you when working and experimenting, and you should be good to go. Remember though, that accidents can happen no matter how careful you are, and be prepared to handle such situations.